In my earlier talk today, I spoke about the first part of our reading from Romans 8, about Jesus leading us into the family of God instead of living like slaves to the religious and social authorities. Now we move on to the future that motivates Paul to keep going despite the resistance, the mocking, the beatings and punishments that he had suffered over the years. He declares that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. Paul says that the whole of creation waits with eager longing for God's children to take their proper place in the world. The whole of creation is groaning as if it were suffering the pain of childbirth. This harks back to the prophecies of Isaiah. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling shall be led together by a little child. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like an ox. The baby shall play beside the hole of a snake, and the weaned child shall put its hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. The Apostle Paul wrote in his heavenly revelation, I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his peoples, and God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away. We grumble and moan because we don't have this or we've lost that. We complain and object when things cost more or they're out of stock in our size. We resist the rules and regulations that society imposes upon us to make us behave and to keep people safe. We're just like the Israelites when Moses led them from slavery in Egypt with the promised land ahead of them. They complained about the food and the water and the flies and said if only we had stayed in Egypt, we would have had plenty of food and water to drink. They had short memories. They had been slaves. They had been worked hard with minimal supplies to prevent them from becoming too strong and rebellious. The Israelites had forgotten their past and were careless of the promised land that God had prepared for them. Paul reminds the Christians in Rome that the sufferings, torture, and executions that they had to endure today did not change the glory that lay ahead of them. Paul reminds them of the promises of God. He says it's not surprising that you can't see it yet. If you could see it, then you wouldn't need to hope for it. And we all know how hard it is to wait for something, especially if we can see it just out of reach. If only the time had come, then we wouldn't have to wait. But still, God waits and draws more people into his family in his kingdom. Jesus said that those who turn to him would be blessed. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It's good news, but only if you know what lies ahead is worth far more than the problems, pains, persecutions, and punishments that Christians around the world are subject to today. It's good news, but if nobody tells anyone, then it won't be news, and it won't be good. Why is the world in such a terrible state today? It's because everyone is desperately trying to scramble higher up the ladder, away from death, towards what they think will bring them a better life. Every man for themselves, and the devil take the hindmost. What can we do about it? we can play our part in making the world a better place. We can change the flavour of our society, like salt in water. We can shed the light of Jesus Christ into the dark places around us. A light is no use if it's hidden away from those who need to see it. If the salt doesn't do its job, then it's useless, only to be thrown away. Jesus told his followers, "Do not store up for yourselves treasure on the earth, where moths and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. Instead, store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where there is no rust, moths, or thieves. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be." How do we store up treasure in heaven? Jesus said, "When I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." You did not know it then, but just as you did these things for the least of those who are members of my family, you did it for me. Paul said, "We hope for what we do not see. We wait for it with patience." King David wrote in Psalm 23, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Amen.